In 1996, a security guard named Christoph Mailly was doing his nightly rounds at a major bank in Zurich when he caught employees shredding documents. Old documents, papers dating back to World War II. He pulled a handful of them out of the blades before they could be destroyed. Those rescued papers connected one of the world's most respected financial institutions directly to Holocaust victims, proving the bank was quietly sitting on wealth that should have been returned to families decades earlier. For bringing this to light, Mailly didn't get a reward. He got death threats. Eventually, he fled the country entirely. Switzerland is a tiny, resource-poor nation with a population smaller than New York City. Yet it became one of the wealthiest places on Earth by turning the act of making money disappear into a global industry. Switzerland built an entire economy on a single business model, telling no one anything. But the noble story they've told the world about why they do it is mostly fiction. If you ask why Swiss banks are secret, the most common answer is that the laws were written in 1934 to protect Jewish families hiding their wealth from the Nazis. But the true practice is older than the United States. In 1713, the City Council of Geneva passed rules explicitly forbidding bankers from sharing client information with foreign governments. These rules were designed to manage the fortunes of European aristocrats, who needed to hide their wealth from their own kings. By the early 20th century, that privacy had evolved into a lucrative service for tax evaders. This worked perfectly until 1932, when French police raided a Swiss bank's Paris office. They walked away with documents exposing thousands of wealthy French citizens, politicians, bishops, industrialists, secretly hiding their money across the border. France was furious. 2 years later, in 1934, the Swiss government responded by making the revelation of a client's identity a federal crime. If a foreign government pressured a Swiss bank for information, the banker could literally go to prison for handing it over. The 1934 secrecy law created a permanent legal wall, insulating a profitable tax evasion business from foreign oversight by making disclosure a federal offense. And then World War II began. Switzerland stayed neutral, but neutral doesn't mean uninvolved. The Swiss National Bank quickly became a vital economic conduit for the Nazi war machine. As Germany conquered Europe, it systematically looted the central bank gold reserves of occupied nations like Belgium and the Netherlands. Switzerland took that looted gold and laundered it, converting it into the currency Germany desperately needed to buy war materials. State reserves were only part of the flow. U.S. government investigations later revealed that gold stolen directly from victims, wedding rings, jewelry, and even dental work taken from concentration camps was melted down, refined, and poured into ordinary bars, making it completely indistinguishable from any other asset. At the same time, thousands of Jewish families who sensed the impending danger opened secret Swiss accounts to protect their wealth. Many of those families did not survive. Their money sat in what the banks called dormant accounts, completely untouched. For 50 years, almost nobody talked about this. It took immense pressure from U.S. Senate hearings and Christoph Mailly pulling documents out of a shredder to force a reckoning. In 1998, Switzerland's 2 largest banks finally agreed to a $1.25 billion settlement paid to Holocaust survivors and their heirs. The nation's pristine identity as a neutral safe haven functioned as a facade. Underneath it, they had successfully hidden half a century of highly profitable war complicity. After the war, Switzerland leaned directly into this system. The Swiss bank account became the ultimate global standard for the ultra-wealthy, for dictators looking to hide stolen national wealth, and for everyday tax evaders. Without natural resources, exporting absolute confidentiality became the country's defining economic engine. They successfully hoarded hundreds of billions of dollars in offshore wealth from literally all over the planet. But in the 2000s, the rest of the world pushed back. The United States launched an aggressive campaign specifically targeting tax evasion, putting immense legal pressure on Switzerland's largest banks until they surrendered the names of thousands of American account holders. International political pressure finally outweighed domestic Swiss law. For the first time in 300 years, the impenetrable legal wall had real structural cracks. Then, in March 2023, the unthinkable happened. Credit Suisse, a 167-year-old institution and one of the twin pillars of the entire Swiss economy, collapsed in the space of about a week. The bank had spent the previous 2 years racking up a fatal string of operational failures. They lost billions in the Archegos hedge fund collapse, suffered severe regulatory rebukes, and faced public scandals over money laundering for organized crime. The final trigger came when a few U.S. regional banks failed. Spooked investors immediately started looking for the weakest link in the global financial chain. They found it in Credit Suisse, triggering a massive bank run and causing the stock price to plummet 30% in a single day. The resolution was humiliating. A bank that was once valued at 100 billion francs had to be forcibly bought out by its rival, UBS, in an emergency government-brokered deal for just 3 billion. That single chaotic weekend dismantled the myth of Swiss banking exceptionalism. In the face of a bank run, a 167-year-old pillar of the economy proved just as vulnerable to incompetence and panic as any other institution. Secrecy as a national business model works flawlessly, right up until the exact moment the rest of the world stops tolerating it. This chart plots the duration a secret is kept against its ultimate financial fallout. The data shows that as the time a secret is kept grows, the eventual fallout scales exponentially. The 50-year silence on Nazi gold ended in a billion-dollar settlement, while the systemic failures at Credit Suisse took only 2 years to destroy the institution entirely. Switzerland still maintains a massive, highly skilled banking sector today, much of it operating exactly the way it should. But the legal infrastructure that enabled total, impenetrable secrecy has been permanently dismantled. The country that engineered a 300-year monopoly on silence is now being forced to figure out how to survive economically in the light. Which leaves us with a question worth carrying with you. How much of what looks unshakable in our world, a reputation, an institution, a centuries-old system, is actually just a story that hasn't been tested yet? If you want to see exactly what happens when the financial foundation of a country cracks completely, my video on the devastating history of hyperinflation in Weimar Germany and Zimbabwe is the natural next watch. Click here and I'll see you there.